Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name is Thomas and this is your match preview. Arsenal are coming to Goodison Park at 12:30 on Saturday to lunchtime kickoff. Arsenal obviously haven't just appointed Mikel Arteta, but I'm pretty sure he won't be taking charge until Sunday, I think it is. So Freddie Ljungberg will still be in charge with Duncan Ferguson in the opposite dugout. So two caretaker managers in charge. Duncan Ferguson, we don't know how long, much longer he'll be here. This will be his fourth game. Obviously, he's managed a win against Chelsea, draw against United, lost some penalties against Leicester, and now the Arsenal game. And imaginably, he will be gone by Sunday or Monday. Well, gone as the manager. The rumours are he'll stay on as a coach, but obviously, we're hoping Ancelotti will be appointed sooner rather than later. There's a lot of stories saying that he might be in the stands, but Duncan Ferguson will definitely still be in charge, and Freddie Ljungberg. So, two caretaker managers on their last games, pretty much as the caretaker. Arsenal, in terms of their injuries, they'll definitely be without Danny Ceballos, who I think has a hamstring injury. Kolasinac picked up an injury against City, and he won't be back until January. And then Kieran Tierney has a dislocated shoulder, and they might be without Bellerin, but I think he's likely to be back. Rob Holding as well, and Mesut Ozil. I think those three are being assessed before the match, so there's a chance they might start. And if they don't, actually, it'll be interesting to see Arsenal's fullback situation, because obviously Kieran Tierney and Kolasinac in, and that's pretty much both their left backs, and obviously Monreal left in the summer, so they'll probably be hoping for Bellerin to come back and maybe push Ainsley Maitland-Niles out on the left. Arsenal's last 5 games, basically Freddie Ljungberg's games that he has been in charge for after Emery got sacked after the Frankfurt game, I think. 1 win, 2 draws and 2 losses. The win in a 3-1 win against West Ham. 2 draws against Standard Liège and Norwich, and then 2 losses against Brighton and City. Just to touch on the City game, obviously they lost 3-0, I think that was last week. They looked tired, they looked energyless, they looked like they didn't really want to be there, a lot of them. So it'll be interesting to see if that mentality carries on over into Saturday, or whether there'll be more up for the game. Obviously, with Arteta definitely taking over the next day, will they want to impress the manager? We'll have to see. In terms of the lineup, Freddie Ljungberg's normally opted for a 4-2-3-1. Leno will probably definitely be in goal. And then the fullback situation is interesting. Maitland-Niles has been playing right back. He'll definitely be there. Whether Bellerin comes back yet or not, we're not sure. Hector Bellerin, if he does start, I imagine he'd be on the right and Maitland-Niles on the left, so we'll have to see what happens there. With Rob Holding potentially being injured, we might see a centre-back partnership of Socrates and David Luiz, which in itself is error-prone. You never really know what you're going to get from David Luiz, so that could be something to exploit. Maybe with the 4-4-2 with Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin up front. And then when you get in the midfield, kind of Guendouzi will be partnering Torreira. I think Granit Xhaka was the favoured player, but now he's injured. I think he got a concussion against West Ham, and I think he also might be leaving in January, so it'll be interesting to see if he plays for Arsenal again. And then kind of the 3 behind Aubameyang is normally Nicolas Pepe on the right, Martinelli on the left, who's a very talented player, and potentially Mesut Ozil through the middle. If not, maybe we'll see Lacazette return to the side, or maybe Joe Willock. We'll have to see with Aubameyang almost a guaranteed starter up front. Very dangerous player. Obviously, everyone knows about his pace, his finishing ability. So the ways to exploit Arsenal, you look at the defence, they can be quite error-prone at times, maybe sometimes lack the organisation that's needed. So I'm not sure it's going to be a game full of defensive ability. Obviously, our defence hasn't been too bad recently. There's been a lot of tackles going in, a lot of fight, a lot of spirit being shown under a Duncan Ferguson side. But in terms of Arsenal, I'd imagine the weaknesses will be on the full-backs. If they don't have a favoured left-back, that has to be basically taken advantage of. We don't know if Theo Walcott will be back yet. He also has an injury. I think it's probable that he might be out. So we could see Iwobi on the right, who had a tricky game against Leicester. He's had a tricky few games actually on the wing. So it'll be interesting to see if he starts again, and maybe Bernard. So the full-back's definitely an interesting one to exploit. And then the centre-backs, you never know what you're getting from David Luiz. You know you're waiting for an error at some point during the game, so we'll have to see if that comes good for us. I'm not going to dwell too much on our starting 11, because I'm sure there'll be a separate video on that. But with it being Duncan Ferguson's last game in charge, I'd imagine we'll stick with a 4-4-2, just with the usuals in defence. I mean, obviously we all know our list of injuries at the moment, with players like Lucas Digne, Gbamin, Gomez. This list is going to go on for a while. Lucas Digne's injured, Sidibe probably injured. Schneiderlin's injured, Sigurdsson might be back, we're not sure yet. So we will have to see. Obviously, Sidibe and Sigurdsson were taken ill So they might be back in time for the game. Will that see us change formation maybe with Gylfi Sigurdsson come back into the side? I'm not sure, because obviously Mason Holgate's been playing very well at kind of the central midfield role alongside Tom Davies, which I'm not sure really anybody expected. It'll be interesting to see the mentality of both sides really, obviously with new managers probably coming in by the start of the week. It'd be interesting to see if they're trying to impress. Obviously last time this happened, the night that, I hate to say it, but the night that Sam Allardyce with Goodison, obviously it came out as a 4-0 win against West Ham, which was a brilliant result. So I'd imagine we'll stick with the 4-4-2, which is, I think it's working for us at the moment. Obviously against Leicester it was disappointing to lose on penalties, but kind of the fight back that was shown in the second half, I thought that was impressive. You can see that the players are tired. Obviously they haven't really been playing at the work rate that they have under Marco Silva as they have been under Duncan Ferguson. It'll be interesting to see what kind of levels of fatigue or levels of fitness that they turn up with on Saturday. Obviously they did look quite tired in midweek. They kind of came back in the second half. They were still second best, and obviously a brilliant goal by Leighton Baines in the end. And obviously some of us were very worried about Leighton Baines and Seamus Coleman at fullback, but they've been brilliant so far, so I don't think there's anything to worry about there. So overall, in terms of predictions, I honestly don't have a clue. Because obviously we've been very impressive against, we put in some good performances against some very good sides. And will fatigue come into it? Maybe. Obviously it hasn't been too many days since the Leicester game that we'll be playing again. I see a draw coming. I think Arsenal will be a lot more up for it. A lot of questions have been asked about their mentality in the past. Do they want to play for the shirt? But obviously with Arteta being hired, and he will be here at the start of next week. Well, he will be the Arsenal manager at the start of next week. It'll be interesting to see if they're more up for it, more determined to prove themselves to the new manager. I'm going to go for a draw, probably a score draw. I'm going to go 2-2. I think both teams at times can be quite defensively frail. There's Michael Keane, if he starts, which I'd imagine he will be if Mason Holgate's in the midfield. He hasn't had a great run of games. He's looking quite error-prone at times. I think it'll pretty much just be the battle between Michael Keane and David Luiz to see who can make fewer mistakes, and that might pretty much sum up the game. Both teams have pretty dangerous attacks. Obviously, we all know the threat of Aubameyang, and Martinelli's looked a particularly threatening player recently. And obviously, for us, we'll probably see Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front with maybe Richarlison partnering him. Moise Keane, obviously there was a lot said after he got subbed off after 18 minutes, but then he came on at half-time against Leicester and he played quite impressively, made a couple of good runs, held the ball up well. So it'll be interesting to see how long it takes to see a partnership of Calvert-Lewin and Moise Keane up front. Obviously, if Ancelotti takes over, it is kind of rumoured that he does favour a 4-4-2, so that might be quite interesting, maybe with Richarlison out on the left. But for now, I can see Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin staying up front. And let's hope for a good result. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to check out all our social medias in the comments below, in the description below. Comment below your predictions, and let's hope for a good result and a good last game for Big Dunk. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.